Welcome to our channel. Today we will explore one of the most mysterious and creepy cases in American history, the Ewell family case, featuring complex characters and thrilling plot twists. This story is not just a crime investigation but also a lesson in greed and its terrible consequences. Let us delve into every detail of this case. On Easter weekend in April 1992, Dana Ewell contacted his relatives with disturbing news. He could not reach his parents, Dale and Glee Ewell, nor his sister, Tiffany Ewell. Dana was at his family's beach house in California, where he had spent the weekend with his girlfriend and her father, an FBI agent. The butler, arriving on his regular duty after vacation, made a startling discovery at the Ewell mansion. Too distressed, she quickly ran to a neighbor's house and called the police. When police arrived, they found the bodies of Dale Glee and Tiffany Ewell. Initially, it was thought that this was a botched burglary, but the fact that nothing was missing led investigators to believe that this was an intentional murder. The Ewell family seems to have no clear enemies, making the incident even more confusing. Dale Ewell was born in Ohio during the Great Depression, which instilled in him a strong work ethic and a deep appreciation for his earnings. After serving in the Air Force, he achieved success as a businessman and eventually became president and owner of Western Piper Sales Incorporated, a company that sold small aircraft. With the profits from his business, Dale invested in several farms, adding to his wealth. Dale is married to Glee Michelle, who has had diverse careers including an elementary school teacher, a translator for the CIA, and a member of the State Bar Committee. They have two children together, Tiffany, born in 1967, and Dana, born in 1971. Dale and Glee enjoy a life of luxury thanks to their considerable wealth, which allows them to reside in a luxurious beachfront estate in Perraro Dunes, California. Their affluence affords them a lifestyle filled with high-end cars and designer clothes. Yet they choose to live with a surprising degree of humility despite their financial means. Dale's impressive wealth, estimated at $8 million, largely comes from his successful airline business and strategic investments in the stock market. Their financial success is often cited as an example of the American dream realized. However, their son Dana deviated from the family trajectory. During his college years, Dana painted a picture of himself as a self-made businessman, leading others to believe that his own supposed achievements were the true source of the family's wealth. This fraudulent story, created to bolster his personal image, will come under close scrutiny as the investigation into the tragic murder of his parents unfolds. In 1990, Dana Ewell, a student at Santa Clara University, was famous for his obsession with wealth and luxury. He is often seen driving a sleek BM and enjoys lavish shopping, including high-end jewelry, demonstrating his interest in luxury. However, underneath this successful exterior, Dana's older sister Tiffany, who graduated from the University of Fresno, demonstrated a more grounded and practical approach to life, in stark contrast to her ostentatious lifestyle, her brother's school. Dana's tendency to cheat has been well documented. Despite his obvious intelligence and the advantages conferred by his education, he had a habit of fabricating elaborate falsehoods about his achievements. During his tenure at Santa Clara University, he created an elaborate web of lies, claiming he led a multi-million-dollar enterprise. He boasted about a career that allegedly began at age 18 as a stockbroker, moved into the aircraft business, and culminated in a supposed role as president of a manufacturing company, own plane. These grandiose claims, designed to impress both faculty and colleagues, were completely fabricated, concealing the truth about his otherwise unremarkable achievements. This type of deception may have strained his relationship with his father, Dale Ewell. Despite Dale's humble beginnings and the supportive role he plays in his children's lives, Dana's lies and sense of entitlement create tension. Dale's support for his family, coupled with Dana's insistence on presenting himself as a wealthy and influential figure, may have caused considerable friction between them. On April 19, 1992, the weather in Sunnyside, California was mild and sunny, creating an ideal atmosphere for Easter Sunday. Dale Ewell, 59, his 57-year-old wife Glee, and their 24-year-old daughter Tiffany spent the Easter feast. While Glee and Tiffany drove home, Dale chose to fly his private plane to the hangar before driving home. Unbeknownst to them, when they returned, they were ambushed. Tiffany was the first person shot, fatally hit in the head. Glee was shot multiple times immediately afterward. When Dale arrived home about 30 minutes later, he was also shot and killed as he entered the house from the garage. The perpetrator was waiting to ensure that Dale was unaware of the impending danger. 2 days after the murder, Dana Ewell, 21, contacted relatives and friends in Sunnyside, expressing concern that he could not contact his parents. Despite being the youngest member of the Ewell family, Dana spent Easter weekend about 200 miles away in San Francisco with his girlfriend, Monica Zent, and her father, John Zent, an FBI agent. On Tuesday, April 21, 1992, Juanita Avenida, the Ewell family's longtime housekeeper, arrived to do her routine. When she entered the kitchen, she witnessed a horrifying scene. Tiffany Ewell's lifeless body, face down in a pool of blood with her hands clutched underneath her. Devastated by the grim discovery, the housekeeper immediately sought help from a neighbor, who then called the police. At the time of the murder, Dana Ewell was in Monterey, California. When authorities contacted him about the incident, his girlfriend's father, an FBI agent, quickly arranged for Dana to fly to Fresno. Throughout the ordeal, Dana appeared distressed. Police launched an extensive investigation, spending days gathering evidence and interviewing witnesses. The crime scene was initially staged to look like a failed robbery. However, experienced detectives recognized the signs of a deliberate attack disguised to look like an attempted burglary. Upon closer inspection, they discovered some unusual features. There were no weapons, bloodstains, footprints, or DNA evidence at the scene. Instead, the attack was carried out with remarkable precision, missing only one shot, and the perpetrators even collected spent shell casings. Inside the house, investigators found a box of 9mm ammunition, which was later confirmed to have been used in the murder. Although the house appeared to be ransacked, no valuables were missing, and there were no signs of forced entry through windows or doors. Additionally, the alarm system that was supposed to be operational again was disabled. The scene was deliberately arranged to create the impression of a failed burglary. As the investigation continued, detectives dug into the victims' backgrounds, looking for any potential connections to the murders. They look into Dale Ewell's past, including his involvement in selling airplanes to an individual later convicted of drug smuggling in the 1970s, and a questionable real estate deal with his brother he risks causing millions of dollars in damages. Both incidents were eventually ruled out as unrelated to murder. With no other suspects emerging, the focus of the investigation shifted to Dana Ewell, who benefited significantly from the deaths of his family members as the sole survivor and beneficiary. Profit from their assets. Despite having an alibi, being with his girlfriend and her FBI agent father at the time of the murder, Dana becomes a person of interest in the case. Despite their suspicions, the police could not ignore the growing suspicions about Dana Ewell's involvement in his family's murder. Dana's behavior only increased their concerns. Although he openly shows signs of distress, such as offering a reward for information leading to the killer's capture, his emotional reaction seems insincere. His apparent focus on his parents' will and inheritance, rather than mourning their deaths, further suggests a lack of real grief. This is evident in his disturbing decision to invite a friend to visit the crime scene where blood stains were still present. Additionally, Dana allegedly showed contempt for the police investigation, dismissed their efforts, and called them incompetent. The investigation turned into a long and intense pursuit of Dana over the next 3 years. The conflict was further fueled by accusations from Dana Ewell's brothers, who claimed that Dana reacted violently during the reading of the will. They reported that Dana became angry when he learned that the terms of the trust would limit his access to the $8 million estate until he turned 30. He is said to have slammed his hands on the table and shouted angrily about his father's arrangements. According to the will, Dana would receive insurance for his expenses until he turned 25, with investment dividends provided until he turned 30. Half of the assets will be available at age 30. The rest will be available at age 35. Before Dale, Glee, and Tiffany's funeral, Dale's brothers took steps to prevent Dana from claiming his inheritance. Despite these efforts, Dana still managed to secure approximately $300,000 from the insurance policy, which was not covered under the trust provisions or was overlooked. Meanwhile, Dana's 3 uncles, his father's brothers, are actively working to prevent him from accessing any part of the family fortune. Their concerted efforts to keep him out of his inheritance greatly frustrated Dana, adding to his resentment. Despite growing pressure from investigators and growing suspicions from his extended family, who accused him of orchestrating the murders to gain control of the family assets, Dana persists in living a life of luxury. He continued to spend money lavishly, giving his girlfriend Monica expensive gifts and papsundang for her education. The source of his seemingly endless money remains shrouded in mystery, adding to the intrigue. As investigators pursued their investigation, they discovered a disturbing revelation. Dana had participated in an embezzlement scheme. He illegally siphoned money from multiple sources, including his grandmother's $400,000 trust account. This discovery added another layer of criminality to an already complicated and confusing case. By the time detectives intervened, Dana had nearly emptied his grandmother's trust account, leaving only $2,000. This depletion left his grandmother in a precarious financial situation, unable to cover the costs of nursing home care. Dana Ewell's exposure of taking advantage of his vulnerable grandmother for personal gain significantly reinforced police suspicions about him. However, despite this incriminating revelation, authorities still need solid evidence directly linking Dana to the murders before they can make an arrest. Among Dana's college acquaintances, Joel Rovick stands out as being particularly attracted to Dana's lavish lifestyle and knack for attracting attractive women. Despite their contrasting interests, Joel is passionate about video games, guns, and explosives, while Dana is focused on climbing the social ladder. Joel's relationship with Dana helps him have the opportunity to join exclusive parties and social elites. After the murder, Joel dropped out of school and began frequenting Dana's house. Eventually, their relationship develops and Joel becomes Dana's roommate, continuing to bond their lives in the wake of the ongoing investigation. This connection between Dana and Joel proves to be important to the investigation. Both men began making unusual cash purchases, such as learning to fly a helicopter, even though Joel had no clear source of income. As a result, both Dana and Joel were placed under surveillance. Investigators monitored their communications through pagers and sophisticated payphones. They even copied Dana's pager and wiretapped his landline phone. In May 1993, an officer overheard Joel on a payphone where he was recorded saying that authorities had no evidence and would try to catch Dana in a lie. On one occasion, Joel Rovick advised Dana to play the game, a phrase that suggested Dana was engaging in some form of strategy or deceitful manipulation. This advice seems to underscore Joel's awareness and perhaps complicity in Dana's questionable activities. Meanwhile, Dana persists in her lavish lifestyle, using her ill-gotten gains for lavish spending. He bought a new car for his girlfriend and paid for her law school tuition, all funded by insurance money he received. This financial recklessness was compounded by his embezzlement of $400,000 from his grandmother's trust account, which severely depleted her funds, leaving her with only $22,000 to cover hospital expenses, nursing home. In 1994, the The investigation had an important turning point when forensic analysis showed that the murder weapon was a specialized 9mm assault rifle, manufactured in Colorado. Records from the manufacturer pinpoint that such a rifle was purchased by a man named Jack Pond shortly before the murder. Jack, Joel Rovick's high school friend, has become the focus of the investigation. When questioned by authorities, Jack initially denied buying the rifle. He later changed his story, claiming the rifle was a birthday gift to him, although he eventually confessed that it had been stolen. The revelation added a new layer of complexity to the case and increased scrutiny of those involved in the acquisition of the rifle. As the evidence against Dana and Joel mounted, detectives attempted to confuse Dana during a visit to his college dormitory by suggesting that Joel might be responsible for the murder. Dana remained silent and appeared visibly distressed. After the detectives left, Dana and his girlfriend Monica hurriedly called Joel. On March 2, 1995, law enforcement officials conducted a significant operation which resulted in the arrest of Dana Ewell, Joel Rovick, Peter Rovick, Joel's brother, and Jack Pond. Peter Rovick reached a deal with authorities, agreeing to testify against both his brother Joel and Dana in exchange for immunity from prosecution. In his confession, Peter revealed that he had meticulously crafted a homemade silencer and attached it to the murder weapon. He admitted to throwing away the gun barrel as well as Joel's tennis shoes, which were worn during the murder. Additionally, Peter revealed that he had thrown away a collection of gun enthusiast magazines that were linked to their criminal activities. He confirmed that his actions were carried out in collusion with Jack Pond and provided a detailed account of their joint efforts to cover their tracks. After his arrest, Jack Pond gave a transformative story. He initially admitted to buying the specialized gun but denied any involvement in the murder. Jack had previously claimed ignorance of the weapon's intended use, however. His story evolved as he corroborated Peter Rovick's account of their collaborative efforts to suppress key evidence. In exchange for their cooperation, both Jack Pond and Peter Rovick were granted immunity. Their testimony proved instrumental in helping guide authorities to the crate containing the murder weapon buried in a dirt field. This important evidence played a vital role in unraveling the case and bringing the perpetrators to justice. Dana Ewell and Joel Rovick were charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, making them eligible for the death penalty. They were not asked to plead guilty, and their trial, which began in late 1997, was a highly anticipated legal event. At this point, Dana and Joel went their separate ways, each represented by different legal teams. The prosecution said that Dana's motive for murder stemmed from greed. They argued that Dana had promised Joel a significant inheritance, which led to the criminal actions they were charged with. On the contrary, Dana's defense team vehemently denied these accusations, asserted their innocence, and claimed that Joel, along with their partner Jack Pond, were the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. Jack Pond's testimony was a key moment of the trial. He admitted purchasing the murder weapon for Joel and assisting in its disposal. Jack further revealed that Joel recounted in vivid detail the events that occurred in April 1992. This testimony provides important insights into the dynamic between the defendant and the killers, highlighting each individual's role in the tragic events. According to Jack, Dana asked Joel to commit the murders as a favor, and Joel meticulously prepared for the crime by shaving his body and using a plastic sheet to avoid leaving behind any DNA. Joel was also instructed to make sure no bullet casings were left at the crime scene. On the day of the murder, Joel waited at Ewell's house for 12 hours. Tiffany Ewell was the first victim, shot in the back of the head without Joel noticing. Glee Ewell, who saw Joel, was shot multiple times as she tried to flee. In a disturbing moment, she recognized Joel as the friend Dana had introduced to the family a month earlier. After killing Glee, Joel changed the magazine in the gun and put on new gloves, waiting for Dale Ewell to arrive. Joel then kills Dale as well. Jack Pond's testimony encountered significant challenges during the trial. One notable error occurred when he mistakenly referred to seeing the eye an anomaly that raised concerns about the reliability of his claim. This mistake raised doubts about the accuracy of his account and made the jury increasingly skeptical about Joel Rovich's involvement in the crime. On May 27, 1998, after 8 months of intense proceedings, the jury returned a unanimous verdict convicting Dana Ewell and Joel Rovich on all counts. However, they could not reach a consensus on the sentencing phase. Despite the split in the jury, with 2 jurors favoring Joel's reprieve from the death penalty and Dana narrowly avoiding the same fate by just 1 vote, both men were ultimately convicted, sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Following sentencing, Dana Ewell was transferred to Corcoran State Prison, located about 50 miles south of Fresno. The prison, famous for housing famous and infamous inmates like Charles Manson, became Dana's new home. The year following his incarceration brought further personal tragedy when his grandmother, whom he had previously exploited financially, died in 1999. This loss marked a further sad chapter in Dana's tumultuous life. In the years following his conviction, Dana claimed to have undergone a spiritual transformation and converted to Christianity. He remains registered as a convict at Corcoran State Prison. On the online Prison Buddy platform, Dana Ewell has a profile in which he describes himself as a Santa Clara University finance graduate, claiming that he is starting a career in prison. Investment banking. Extremely painful events disrupted his life. Joel Rovich is currently serving a life sentence at Newell Creek State Prison in Ione, California, located about 2 hours south of San Francisco. The facility is known to house other notorious prisoners, including Tex Watson, a key figure in the Manson family murders, and Robert John Bardo, the convicted murderer of actress Rebecca Schaeffer. In a notable development after the trial, Jack Pond, who played an important role in the prosecution's case, changed his focus to the legal profession. His experiences in court inspired him to pursue a legal career, and he eventually became a practicing attorney. Similarly, Monica Zent, who ended her relationship with Dana Ewell during the turmoil of the trial, went on to complete her law school studies. She successfully established a famous law practice, making a name for herself in the legal field. Throughout the investigation and trial, Monica faced intense scrutiny due to her previous relationship with Dana Ewell. Despite this, there is no evidence linking her to the murder. Her reluctance to become further involved in the case and the fact that Dana had used some of the stolen money to support her education were noted during the investigation. However, these factors did not lead to any charges against her, allowing her to continue her life and career without legal consequences. Dana Ewell's story is a tragic example of greed, entitlement, and callousness. His unrelenting lust for wealth and his willingness to manipulate and betray those closest to him culminated in the brutal murder of his own family. The lives of the victims were tragically cut short by the actions of a man driven by avarice and those who helped him. As we reflect on this heartbreaking story, our thoughts are with the victims and their loved ones. If you find this account interesting, please like and subscribe to our channel and watch our other videos. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching today's video. Hopefully the story of the Ewell family case has brought you deep reflections on the effects of greed and betrayal. If you find this video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next interesting content. See you again in the following videos.